What's going on, guys? How are we doing today? Today's video, we're going to be centered around one character in Galaxy of Heroes and the various uses that this character currently has. Mainly going off on the GAC standpoint of things because, again, GAC is very, very important right now in the game. Payouts were just made with the entire season. I got, I think, like rank 900 and something, so like top 1,000. It wasn't that great of a season, but I still managed to get a decent enough rank. But I want to talk about just one character for today. Maybe like one whole faction, honestly, because there's one faction that is just growing and growing and growing that never seems to stop growing. And it's so good. This whole faction's amazing. I really wish I had Clash on for today's video because he would be going off on today's subject. But yeah, today we're going to be talking about Nest. But, you know, not just Nest. I feel like there's a big emphasis on Nest, but I also wanted to talk about just like the whole, I guess now I want to talk about the whole Scoundrel faction, you know, just how good they are. I know Embo just got a new Omicron. Honestly, though, I'm not a huge fan of it that much. If Embo did get the Omicron for like a GAC, that's a whole different story. But the reason why I'm not a big fan of it is because it's in TW. And in Territory War right now, we have that whole Dad Bod Boba Fett team to counter Lord Vader's. And we don't really need Embo there. So, but anyways, Nest. I actually just got my Nest Relic 7. She was sitting at Relic 1 for the longest time. And I definitely have wanted to get her Relic 7 for a long time, or at least higher than Relic 1. And I finally got it. I'm not really going over mods in this video, just mainly, you know, a lot of different ways to mod her. You can go for tenacity, you go for a lot of health. Right now, the popular way to mod her is for a lot of max health. A lot of different counters. You don't really need her to be tenacious. You don't have to have the tenacity mods, right? Because honestly, you would rather have her get the debuffs, get the TMR, the stun on to the Nest, so that way she never gets the turn, and that's what you want, right? But I will say this about Nest: I've seen a lot of different content creators streaming, playing GAC, losing because of Nests. I remember one video from Arnold, or a stream from Arnold. He lost a pretty big, important round because of a Nest, and you know, I think it's still okay. This character's been in the game for years now, but it is still crazy to me how important or just how scary this character, this chick, can be on defense. I would say right now the biggest use out of Nest is on defense. I mean, sure, you can have some nice offensive uses out of Nest. Way back in the day, with Padme being kind of recent in the game, you were able to solo Padme, or at least kill Padme with an undersized team using a Nest. These days, I don't really see Nest being used on offense as much, if any at all. But definitely right now, seeing a lot of Nest on defense. So a current team, of course, is with the Scoundrels. We see a lot of them right now with Beskar Mando with Nest, even some with Dash. I would say the two best teams right now for the Scoundrels, one of them will be the Beskar Mando team with, of course, IG-11 and Quill. But also, I think the best team on defense right now for the Scoundrel faction is one with Dash, Lead, having Quill there, having Vandor, and then tossing in a Nest, and then also tossing in somebody else who can do some more AoEs. I personally like the Vet Han. A lot of people recommend, you know, Kira as well. I think they're all great options. You cannot go wrong with really anybody in that team. But, I mean, the Dash Lead is amazing. That's a different kind of topic of discussion, though. I want to just kind of stick on the whole Nest subject for a little while. So, we all know Nest is really annoying because of this unique, right? Well, what are some different teams that people use to take down a Nest? Let's say you have a legit Nest, Relic 7, 8, heck, maybe even 9. I wouldn't even say you need them as high as Relic 7, but let's just say they're decently high, they're well modded, right? Well, what team do you guys usually use against the Nest? Like, let's say if you see a Beskar Mando team, or maybe even that Dash team I was just mentioning, and you see that Nest there that's pretty well modded. Well, for me, I would off the top of my head, what I would use is probably a top tier team, because, you know, I like to set JTR. I like to set sometimes Rebels. And I'm just like never going to want to use Troopers against Nest. I mean, sometimes you can get away with using that trooper team, but oftentimes you're not going to win because of the nests, the health, the recovery, all of that stuff. It just never, for me at least, seems to work using troopers. I've seen some people work and win with it, but oftentimes never is the case. CLS can work, but again, you don't want to be using 3PO there for the TMR, the constant looping. I mean, even sometimes with using CLS in general won't work against Nest. I wouldn't even trust any CLS against a decent Nest. I'm thinking off the top of my head what I would use typically would be a bounty hunter team, but guys, guess what? In GAC, again, this is all in GAC standards. I use these guys in so many different parts of my GAC right now. Like, especially if I see a Star Killer, I will be going to use my Zam Wessel Omicron against that almost 9 times out of 10 if I outspeed. Otherwise, we're using a different team. But I would say almost always using the bounty hunter team. So, like, let's say this. Last round, or a couple rounds ago, I fought somebody with Star Killer. I had to use this team to kill a Star Killer. I didn't have a really good, go-to counter for a Nest. Luckily enough, though, I won the round because the guy set 4 GLs compared to my 3, so he had not really enough GLs to work or to kill my GLs. But let's say in that lineup or in that matchup, he had more GLs to kill my GLs, so he was okay. Well, then, still, if that was the case, I would still be struggling against that Nest because I didn't have a bounty hunter team to use against the Nest. Sometimes you can pull Grievous and use a Grievous. I mean, that's still kind of iffy. I feel like the go-to counter to a Nest these days has been a team with bounty hunters, or really any team here that can just, like, one-shot the Nest. Disintegrate works. Annihilate works with Nihilus. You know, it just is crazy to me, you know, how if you have a decent Nest, that is, how much team quality or just a squad, you know, how decent of a squad you're going to be pulling it is. It's quite drastic in my opinion, okay? You could be using Gas, you could be using some Darth Revan. Those are some teams you might see more on offense these days. I don't know, guys. I just feel like this is just one character that people are still sleeping on, at least in defenses. You might even have a decent Nest, but most people I've fought the last seasons in GAC, the new matchmaking that is, haven't really set their Nest a whole lot. Nest can do some crazy things, guys, some insane things. The main thing is that Nest pulls some of those more important teams. I know I just listed the bounty hunter team as one very solid counter. I'm not going to say that's the only counter. There's a lot of different counters out there. Teams with healing immunity are huge. Stuns are huge. Tenacity down are huge. The teams you want to stay around or stay away from using around the Nest is those TMR heavy teams like the CLS. The troopers, you get in the loops, right? You don't want that. But I know there are a lot of different counters to the Nest, the Beskar teams, the Dash teams. There are a lot, right? I just know in my experience that just having the Nest alone there in that team, it scares me a little bit because I now have to change around some different teams I typically would have used. And you know what? I got to say, it is not fun losing GAC rounds because of one character. That's not even a GL. And honestly, GAC, it's about GLs and countering and setting some GLs, right? But most people they're getting around that little learning curve of the GLs, and they're more about the B tier teams, the other teams, the non-GL teams, right? Of like what those are for defenses, of what can maybe stop or pull a certain counter, or just get lower banners. And I feel like Nest accomplishes the lower banners, but sometimes can even accomplish getting a hold. And that's why I think she's so important. People are sleeping on Nest right now. So guys, if you wanted like almost an instantaneous impact, a positive impact for your GAC experience, then I would get your Nest with some more relics, some more mods. Like I said, the modding can go a couple different ways. I feel like the most popular way to mod her right now is for that full health build. Because, like I said, you want to have her get those debuffs, get the TMR, all that stuff. Because the more you have of that, of the health, the higher some of this stuff will stack for the protection. And just, you know, once you do have her take a turn, let's say somebody is trying to go for that counter that has that, waiting for her to take a turn, and then, they do the big hit. Well, the more health that she has, the harder she is to kill. So just health on her. But Honestly, any decent mods at a high relic level will do the job. So anyways, that's really about it. Like I said, going back to the Scoundrels, they're such an awesome faction right now, guys. The uses in TW and GAC, they are astounding, okay? You have Dadbot Boba, you have Fennec. Those two are phenomenal in TW. In GAC, we have Dash, you have Beskar Mando. I mean, the uses are just so endless, it seems. There's just so many great uses out of these characters. I mean, I've gotten use out of a Gear 11 Stormtrooper Han in my GACs, and that's crazy to think, okay? But yeah, Scoundrels are amazing. Get them all built up if you can. They're just so great. I can't say anything bad about Scoundrels. I mean, there's maybe, let's say, out of this whole faction, there's maybe like 4 or 5 I just probably would never use. Gamorrean Guard, Mob Enforcer, sometimes, you know, some of these Hans. But like I said, I got use out of my Stormtrooper Han, so that's probably not something I'd say. Clone Wars Chewie, unfortunately enough, probably not going to be used as much. But anyways, that's about it, guys, for right now. Nest is great. Don't sleep on her. She can really ruin somebody's GAC experience. Don't set her, or rather, don't keep her for offense. Set her on defense. That's what I want to say. Set her on defense. It can even be with a non-Scoundrel team. You can be setting some with Maul leads, the new Maul, the Mando, or what's it called? Yeah, the Mandalorian Maul from the Conquest. Another great use of them there. Or heck, even with some Darth Revans to stop some troopers, okay? Such a great character. Gotta use her, guys. Anyways, that's it for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed my rant or just my whole discussion with Scoundrels and Nest, okay? Where do you guys use Nest? Where do you guys use her currently in GAC and TW? How do you like her? Is she getting those holds, those lower banner wins, or whatever it is? Let me know, guys, down below in the comments. But that's it for me today. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I will see you later. Peace out, and have a good one. Bye, guys.